Is,
Go back to mute.
yeah, when you're not speaking, it'd probably be good if you did that.
Yep.
Okay? All right. I'm gonna start this meeting over again. Supervisor Townsend called this reconvened meeting, Board of Supervisors, to order. And due to the COVID-19 emergency, the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors is operating pursuant to and in compliance with this emergency continuity operations ordinance. While physical access to these public meetings is not permitted, the public may participate in these meetings by calling 1-844-890-7777, access code 390313. And also at this time, I'd like to wish to recognize that Supervisor Jones, Supervisor Wilt, and Supervisor Gillum will not be with us this morning, will be with us this morning via remote telephone access, as required by the Board of Supervisors electronic meeting policy and sections 2.2-3708.2 of the Code of Virginia. Supervisor Jones, 3286 Poorhouse Road, Rice, Virginia. Supervisor Wilk, 814 Creekwood Trail, Farmville, Virginia, and Supervisor Gillum provided us notification that they would have to be physically absent from this morning's board meeting because of the COVID-19 pandemic. They have requested remote participation in this board meeting for their respective addresses. Their requests are in conformance with the board electronic meeting policy and requirements of the Code of Virginia. Pending any objection from a member of the Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Jones, Supervisor Wilt, participation from their remote locations in Prince Edward County shall be approved and shall be recorded in the minutes of this meeting. Does any supervisor present object to them being available via remote? Since there's no objections, and it's approved. And at this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Pryor, she'll lead us into with our invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
At this time, would we all have a moment of silence? Please remember everyone in our prayers through this COVID event. Merry Christmas to everyone. Just a moment of silence. Amen. But everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I want to thank Dr. Pryor for leading us in our invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Now at this time, we have a public hearing. And first, on the public hearing, we have ordinance, non-hazardous duty acknowledgement pay. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Stanley, our county administrator.
Excuse me, before you start anything, I do have a disclosure.
Okay.
As a member of the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors, I am disclosing that I have an interest in the board's consideration for the payment of employee bonuses, as my husband is a full-time employee of the Prince Edward County Sheriff's Office. Today, I plan to abstain from voting from anything related to this matter.
I want to thank Supervisor Booth for her notification of conflict of interest. And at this time, I turn over to County Administrator, Mr. Stanley.
Chairman, to other members of the board. County employees have rendered a high level of service to the citizens of Prince Edward County during the COVID-19 pandemic that began in March of this year. In recognition of the efforts and risks county employees have faced during these difficult economic and environmental times, it was proposed that a one-time payment of acknowledgement pay or hazard pay as appropriate be made to eligible employees and officers in December of 2020. At its December 8, 2020 meeting, the board authorized advertising a one-time acknowledgement pay or bonus for non-hazardous duty employees and officers and hazard pay for hazardous duty employees. The amounts discussed by the board were $1,000 for full-time employees and officers and $500 for part-time employees. In order to accomplish this, funding for the acknowledgement pay for non-hazardous duty employees will come from the county's general fund from the Social Services Fund and the Piedmont Court Services Fund. In accordance with Section 15.2, 1508 of the Code of Virginia, attached is a copy in the packet, a copy of the public hearing notice and draft ordinances the board authorized at its December 8th meeting. The draft ordinance provides for a one-time monetary payment to non-hazardous officers and employees. If approved by the board, $1,000 will be paid to each full-time employee and officer and $500 to each part-time employee. Funding for the hazard pay will come from state funds received from the Compensation Board and CARES Act funding. If approved by the board, hazard pay $1,000 will be awarded to each full-time hazardous duty county employee and officer and $500 for each part-time. A summary for costs from the general fund, $81,814. We already have funding in there for potential salary increases in the budget. $8,073.75 from the PCS fund, and $11,303.25 from the comp board, and $19,377 from the CARES Act fund, and that has been authorized by the board from the CARES Act funds. Total cost of $120,568. Please note, those numbers do not include the employees of the Department of Social Services. Again, funding for DSS employees will come from the DSS budget, which is managed by the DSS board. Authorization from the board is required for the DSS expenditure. We've got some proposed motions on the back for the board's consideration. I'd be happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman, before we open the public hearing.
Okay. Is there anyone else like to speak in behalf of the hazardous pay? Sheriff Epps, anything you'd like to say? You can approach the podium if you like. Can we get him a mic? Hold on, Sheriff.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Just, again, just to mirror what I said last time, you know, not only the Sheriff's Department, but all the county employees who stayed and worked during this pandemic, they deserve this bonus, and I'd appreciate your support if you could find in your heart to pass it.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate that. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in behalf? If not, then I'm going to open the public hearing. Anyone online would like to speak in behalf at this time, on behalf of the hazardous duty, hazardous pay? Mr. Montgomery? Is Mr. Montgomery online? Hey, how are you?
I'm still online, but I'm good. How are you?
Good. Merry Christmas.
I did not register to speak before the supervisors this morning, so I will just listen. Thank you, sir.
That's okay. You're more than welcome to speak. If you like.
Thank you. Having had quite a bit of contact and work with the CARES grant things that we've been doing as a county, it just concerned me that making sure that any CARES Act monies that are spent are properly audited, or properly accounted for an audit, that it's traceable to the hazardous duty employees directly. Doesn't get mixed in such a way that we would have a potential future requirement to repay those monies to the state or the federal government. Thank you.
Terry, in case you don't know, Mike, Vice Chairman of the IDA.
Okay. Yeah, I know Mike, but yes, sir, the CARES Committee chairman is really ensuring that we're complying with the criteria of disbursement of the CARES Act funding. So we appreciate your follow-up and just reinforcing that we meet the criteria for disbursement of those monies.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Now, at this time, I'm gonna ask, is anyone online that would like to speak in opposition of the hazardous duty pay? I'll repeat, anyone online like to speak in opposition during this public hearing for the hazardous duty pay? If not, I'm gonna close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'll check. Karen, did you receive any written correspondence by 4 o'clock yesterday?
Okay. Public hearing is closed. At this time, is there any comment, any member of the supervisor have any question or comment? If not, first motion would be move to approve the ordinance for the payment of one-time acknowledgement pay in the fiscal year 2020, 2021.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve the ordinance for one-time payment acknowledgement in fiscal year 2021. Dr. Pride?
Yes.
Supervisor Townsend, yes. Supervisor Cooper Jones?
Yes.
Supervisor Booth?
Abstain.
Supervisor Emmerich? Supervisor Bobby Jones? Supervisor Wilt? Supervisor Gillum? Gillum, you online? Okay, so he's not present. Lou, if you're online, star 6 to unmute. Okay. So we have one supervisor not yeah, yes, all right, good enough. So motion carried, one-time bonus with one abstain. Next, we need a motion to approve a one-time hazard pay through the compensation board funds and the CARES Act funding.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and second that the hazardous duty paid through the compensation board funds and CARE Act funds. And Dr. Pride?
Yes.
Townsend, yes. Supervisor Cooper Jones?
Yes.
Supervisor Booth?
Abstain.
Supervisor Emmerich? Yes. Supervisor Bobby Jones? Yes. Supervisor Wilt? Yes. Supervisor Gillum?
Yes.
So moved, it's been approved. Number 3, I move to approve a one-time hazardous pay through the compensation board. That's a repeat. Move to approve the fiscal year 21 budget amendment as proposed and appropriated, and I'll turn it over to the county administrator.
So as part of the approvals, we need to appropriate the funds from the comp board, from the PCS fund, the CARES Act fund as outlined. We'll move that $38,754 into the budget line that was already established for pay raise reserve in the $91,000 budget category. And again, there's already $93,000 sitting there, so that'll give us enough to cover the request.
All right, so can I get a motion to approve the fiscal year 21 budget amendments as proposed
So
and
moved.
appropriated? Been properly moved by Super Cooper Jones. Can I get a second? Second by Vice Chair Emmerich. Dr. Pride?
Yes.
Supervisor Townsend, yes. Supervisor Cooper Jones?
Yes.
Supervisor Booth?
Abstain.
Supervisor Emmerich? Supervisor Bobby Jones? Supervisor Wilt? Supervisor Gillum? It's been properly moved and approved to be appropriate for the fiscal year 2021 budget. All right, moving along. Next, we have our resolution, hazardous pay and comp board funding.
We've already taken care of those, Mr. Chairman, so we're good with number 2.
Okay, let's go to number 3. Approval of the credit card application.
So currently, the County of Prince Edward has use of only one credit card with a $10,000 limit through Bank of America. However, it is in the name of one of our county employees and tied to the personal credit of that individual employee. So if the county were to miss a payment, that affects that individual's personal credit rating. We have, through Benchmark, been talking about trying to get this clarified and straightened out. The current account's over 15 years old, and the time it was issued was the only way for the county administrator's office to get one. Increasingly, especially with all these CARES Act purchases, the county's financial transactions and procurement is moving to e-commerce, especially for travel, but also general purposes for things through Amazon and other vendors. The treasurer has spoken with Benchmark Bank, the county's primary financial institution, and we can obtain credit cards through Benchmark, but it requires official resolution and action of the board. Once new credit cards are received, the current account will be canceled. The recommendation is to basically set up two cards, one in the name of the county administrator and one of the assistant. These are not personal cards. These are for general use for the office that anybody needs to use them. They are tied to an individual, and you can track the purchases separately. But we have one at a little higher limit, and sometimes you, depending on the bills, you might bump up against something, especially if we get another round of CARES Act funding down the road. It'd be good to have, but and we can provide statements to the board on a monthly basis as well.
Okay. Yeah, I move that I make a motion that we approve the request for the application for 2 county credit cards, and one for the county administrator at an amount of $20,000, another for in the name of the assistant county administrator for $10,000, and that the monthly statements be attached, included in the monthly board packet. Can I get a second?
Second.
Dr. Pryor?
Yes.
Townsend, yes. Cooper Jones?
Yes.
Booth?
Yes.
Vice Chair Emery? Supervisor Bobby Jones? Supervisor Wilt? Supervisor Gillum? All right, it's been properly moved and seconded and approved. Next on the agenda, proposed fiscal year 21 budget schedule. I guess everyone had a chance, opportunity to look at that. And I'll turn it over to Mr. County Administrator.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we basically took y'all's agenda schedule from last year and adjusted based on the calendar. Again, the goal for any county is to adopt a budget by May 1 in order that the schools we can meet the code requirement, but also schools can issue contracts. So we've working with those dates and working back to public hearing requirements. We've got the attached schedule. I've managed a very similar process with a couple minor exceptions, but in talking with Ms. Cooper Jones, I think we're good to go, and she's helped me fill me in on what happened and occurred at some of these meetings, particularly with the school board, and so I feel very comfortable with the outline. It is a little bit ahead of what the school board initially wanted, but I really don't think we have much room to maneuver and delay the budget in order to meet the budget timing requirements. I don't want to hand the board a school budget the same week you're supposed to advertise it for a public hearing. I'd rather you have a little bit more time to digest it. So again, these are tentative and subject to change by the board, but I think this will at least give us an outline of a schedule that meets all the requirements.
Very good. Any comment, any suggestion? Anybody have any? Bobby, Jim, Gil, Lou, y'all got anything you like on this schedule?
Looks good to me.
Okay. All right, I don't think that's a vote situation, is it? No. All right, continue on, Mr.
So
Stanley.
one other item, Mr. Chairman, and as Personnel Committee Chair, we talked about it yesterday. We lost Ms. Pickett, our Economic Development Director, here in last week. She's taken a job with the state. Congratulations to Kate. And it's really, it's our loss as a community, but hopefully she'll still be able to work with us through Department of Housing and Community Development. Also, have been notified by Miss Maggie Van Epps, unfortunately, that she's going to be retiring and leaving us around the first week of February. And in light of that, I went back and have been looking at the potential to try to fill both of those positions. As you know, we held off in the economic position, development position, because we were trying to move forward with the finance position, which I wholeheartedly support. With Maggie's decision, I'd like to go back and have the board reconsider a Director of Economic Development and Tourism and Grants. This is a position y'all had previously established, and you had somebody in that position a number of years ago. I think this will allow us to fill the economic development role quicker and also get somebody back into Maggie's slot and handle the duties of the visitor center. So I'd like for your concurrence and be able to at least move forward with advertisement. Obviously, it'll take 4 to 6 weeks before we can fill the position anyway, but I'd like to have someone close to being ready to come on board when Maggie leaves employment with the county.
I know several years ago, I think it was Miss Carney. She was in a dual role with the tourism and economic development position. So it is something that we have done, the county has done in the past. So I'm fine with it. What kind of salary have you, I know you didn't have listed it, talk about
I
salary,
didn't, and obviously, I think that's something.
salary range.
The current county salary and compensation plan has that position as a grade 21. Director of Economic Development and Tourism is listed on there, and that's a starting salary of 58. I know Maggie was in the mid-40s and Kate was around 52. That would be a little bit higher, or I could bump it down to, say, a grade 20, which grade 20 starts in the probably in the middle, somewhere around 55. But I think if you got somewhere in that range, you could find somebody competent for both positions. I think we could certainly advertise the lower end of that range and see.
Between 50 and 55?
I think we could try that.
Okay, between 50 and 55. I'm fine with that. Any more comments from super board? Bobby, y'all hear that? Jim? Okay, Bobby? Lou?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay, what about Lou?
That was Lou.
Okay, all right, okay. All right, so that's the green light right there. Y'all good? Okay, it's a green light. Go ahead, continue to move
The
forward.
only other thing, it was kind of a table pack item, was we were able to complete our Heartland Innovative Technology Park brochure for the data center site. I received that from Timmons yesterday. I want to thank not only Kate Pickett, but Joe Hines at Timmons for their efforts, and it really helps to show the relationship of the site in relation to the state and the fiber network. And we've already started to push this out to folks in the business and folks that can help us market the site. And certainly Mid-Atlantic Broadband and Dominion will be hopefully good partners of that as well. So I know that's one of the most important things the board has done this year. And we're certainly in the coming year, we're going to work hard to try to market this site and hopefully be able to attract some jobs and investment back to the Prince Edward County community.
It looks nice. I'm impressed. All right. Any comments from the supervisor? Bobby, any comments? They don't have this, but I'm quite sure you can make sure they get a copy of this.
Yes, sir, and I apologize again for our IT and tech issues this morning. It certainly, I think it was a perfect storm. We're trying to roll out the YouTube channel, roll out the Zoom meeting, and also accommodate the conference calling. Go figure, it was the conference calling that got us this morning, but everything else seems to be working. So thanks to staff, particularly Cheryl, Maggie, and Trey for their efforts in getting us moving forward, and hopefully by next month, we'll be good to go.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate everything you're doing. Can I get a motion to read, any board member, supervisor have anything? I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's continue to be safe. Let's continue to comply with CDC and BDH guidelines when it comes to the coronavirus, and hopefully the good Lord would heal and cure all of us in the near future.
Amen.
Can I get a motion to recess to January the 12th, 5:30 PM, work session on the Sandy River?
So moved.
Before we have that motion, I'd like to add a piece of business.
Go ahead, Jim.
For those of you who didn't know, Bucky Four, Felon broke a knee the other day and has not been able to be operated on because he's on blood thinner. And he's been going through a pretty painful fast, and I was wondering if we could get a card or something out from the full board to Bucky on
I think that'd be very much appropriate. We could do that. We'll make that happen.
Ask him where he is. I think he's in the hospital. Ask him.
Hey, Jim, is he in the hospital?
He has been at home because they took him to the hospital, but, you know, the hospital's sort of full at the moment. But he was at home suffering the pain. His wife thought that he would probably be operated on today,
Okay, good.
for sure.
Well, we'll definitely do a card and from the full board. We could definitely do that, okay? Is there anything else anyone like to bring up, put on the table before we recess? Okay, again, action, can I get a motion to recess January 12th to January 12th, 5:30 PM?
So moved.
I get a second? All right, Dr. Pryor?
Yes.
Townsend, yes. Cooper Jones?
Yes.
Booth?
Yes.
Vice Chair Emmerich? All right, Bobby Jones? Wilt? And Gillum? All right, we're recessed January 12th, 5:30 PM.